You think you know why some people, often the brightest minds you encounter, seem to navigate the complex world of relationships with an unnerving ease, securing deep, meaningful connections without the struggle so many others endure. You might tell yourself it's about luck or social charisma or even a genetic predisposition for charm. But beneath those surface explanations, there's a deeper, more uncomfortable truth. We often comfort ourselves with a myth that intelligence itself can be a burden in love, a curse of overthinking, high standards, and an inability to connect with the mundane. You believe the sharpest minds are often the loneliest, trapped by their own cognitive power. This narrative provides a convenient excuse, a way to rationalize personal struggles by attributing them to an intellectual superiority that's simply misunderstood. It suggests that brilliant individuals are just too complex, too discerning, too analytical for the simple dance of human affection. But what if this widespread belief is a profound misunderstanding, a fundamental misattribution of cause and effect? What if the very qualities we associate with deep intellect, when properly integrated, are not handicaps but the precise blueprint for authentic connection? What if genuine intelligence, truly understood, doesn't struggle with finding love, but rather cultivates it, nurtures it, and navigates its challenges with a unique resilience? The struggle isn't a byproduct of sharp minds, nor is it a badge of intellectual honor. It's a symptom of something else entirely, a misconception about what real intelligence is and how it functions in the most human of endeavors. We are about to dismantle that misunderstanding, revealing why those who genuinely embody profound intelligence find not struggle, but clarity and profound connection in the realm of love. The myth, as it's commonly understood, paints a vivid picture of the struggling intellectual. This individual is perpetually in their head, dissecting every word, every gesture, every nuance of a potential partner. They are burdened by an analytical mind that sees flaws, inconsistencies, and future problems where others might see charm or potential. Their standards are portrayed as impossibly high, making almost everyone seem inadequate, a mere shadow of the ideal partner they've meticulously constructed in their thoughts. Social interactions are depicted as clumsy, their brilliance often intimidating rather than attractive, their conversations veering into abstract philosophy when others are discussing weekend plans. They are seen as valuing logic over raw emotion, appearing cold or detached, unable to surrender to the messy, irrational currents of love. This narrative resonates powerfully for many, offering a convenient explanation for recurring loneliness or relationship failures. It feels true because we've all encountered people who fit this description or perhaps seen parts of ourselves reflected in it. It allows us to elevate our perceived intellectual capacity as the reason for our romantic challenges, effectively deflecting responsibility from emotional blind spots or undeveloped relational skills. It's a self-soothing narrative, a defense mechanism that protects the ego by transforming a potential weakness into a unique, almost tragic strength. This perception suggests that the price of intellect is a certain solitude, a noble isolation for those too smart to settle, too perceptive to be fooled, too rational to fall prey to mere sentiment. But this comforting story obscures a far more intricate psychological reality. A truth that reveals the true causes of romantic struggle have little to do with raw brain power and everything to do with how that power is wielded. The first crack in this pervasive myth emerges when we differentiate between what is traditionally called intellectual intelligence or IQ and emotional intelligence or EQ. The popular narrative often conflates a high IQ with overall intelligence, implying that a person's cognitive processing power directly dictates their success in all life domains, including love. Yet, as Daniel Goleman extensively explored, emotional intelligence, the capacity to understand and manage one's own emotions, and to recognize and influence the emotions of others, is fundamentally distinct and equally, if not more, critical for thriving relationships. A person can possess a prodigious intellect, capable of solving complex algorithms or grasping abstruse philosophical concepts, and simultaneously exhibit severe deficits in self-awareness, empathy, and social skills. When an individual struggles in love despite high IQ, it is rarely the cognitive horsepower causing the issue. Instead, it is often a lack of developed emotional intelligence. They might struggle to articulate their feelings, misinterpret social cues, react impulsively out of insecurity, or fail to empathize with a partner's perspective. These are not failures of intellect, they are failures of emotional regulation and interpersonal understanding. True intelligence in its holistic sense includes the capacity for introspection, for emotional literacy, and for adaptive social engagement. Without these components, a high IQ can become a blunt instrument, used to rationalize dysfunctional patterns rather than to understand and resolve them. The problem is not an excessive intelligence, but a critical imbalance within its various forms, leaving the emotional landscape unmapped and unnavigated. The second crack in the myth addresses the nature of high standards. Many intelligent people believe their romantic struggles stem from simply being too discerning, from possessing standards that ordinary people cannot meet. This often sounds like a mark of integrity or self-respect. However, beneath this polished surface, high standards can frequently mask a deep-seated fear of intimacy and vulnerability. It can be a protective shield, a preemptive strike against the inherent messiness and uncertainty of genuine connection. When standards become rigid, absolute, and unforgiving of human imperfection, they cease to be healthy discernment and transform into an insurmountable barrier. Robert Greene, in his examinations of human behavior and power, notes how people often manipulate their own perceptions to maintain a sense of control and avoid confrontation with their deeper anxieties. In the context of relationships, a person might unconsciously elevate their standards to an unrealistic degree, ensuring that no one ever truly measures up. This creates a convenient, self-fulfilling prophecy: no one is good enough for me, which then justifies avoiding the emotional risks of true engagement. This isn't genuine intelligence at work. A truly intelligent mind understands that perfection is an illusion, especially in human beings. It recognizes that growth, compromise, and mutual acceptance are the bedrock of lasting love. The real intelligence here lies in discerning genuine incompatibility from self-sabotaging perfectionism, in understanding the difference between healthy boundaries and impenetrable walls. Often, these high standards are less about finding an ideal partner and more about avoiding the courage it takes to be imperfect, to be vulnerable, and to fully commit to an equally imperfect human being. The third, and perhaps deepest, crack reveals the truth about overthinking. The myth suggests that intelligent people are cursed with minds that never switch off, constantly analyzing, dissecting, and anticipating, thereby sabotaging spontaneous connection. Yet true intelligence isn't about constant rumination. It's about effective problem-solving, discernment, and knowing when to apply mental effort and when to simply experience. Overthinking, in the destructive sense, is more often a symptom of anxiety, rumination, and a lack of present-moment awareness, rather than a direct consequence of intellectual horsepower. It is a mind that has become trapped in loops, often using analysis as a defense mechanism against uncomfortable emotions or the unknown. A genuinely intelligent person, one with integrated self-awareness, can observe their thoughts without being consumed by them. They understand the difference between productive reflection and destructive rumination. They apply principles reminiscent of Stoic philosophy, distinguishing between what is within their control, their reactions, their internal state, and what is not, the actions and feelings of others. Instead of getting lost in endless hypotheticals or dissecting past conversations to an unhealthy degree, an intelligent mind uses its capacity to learn, adapt, and move forward. When someone habitually overthinks their relationships, it points not to an advanced intellect but to an underlying insecurity, a fear of making the wrong choice or a difficulty tolerating ambiguity. Their mind is working overtime not to solve a problem but to avoid feeling exposed or hurt. True intelligence liberates a person from these mental prisons, allowing them to engage with life and love with clarity and presence, not with endless, paralyzing analysis. The real mechanism at play, then, is not the burden of intelligence, but the weight of unaddressed emotional wounds, insecure attachment styles, and undeveloped self-awareness. When intelligent people struggle in love, it is almost always a struggle with these foundational psychological elements, not with their cognitive abilities. Their intelligence, rather than causing the problem, is often unconsciously deployed to rationalize, defend, or avoid confronting these deeper issues. For instance, an individual with an avoidant attachment style, perhaps stemming from early childhood experiences, might use their intellect to maintain emotional distance, creating elaborate justifications for why a partner isn't smart enough or stimulating enough. Or someone with an anxious attachment, constantly fearing abandonment, might overthink every interaction not out of intellectual curiosity, but out of a desperate attempt to control an inherently uncontrollable situation. Carl Jung's concept of the shadow is highly relevant here. The intelligent mind, brilliant at outward accomplishments, might simultaneously repress or deny its own darker, unintegrated emotional needs and fears, projecting them onto potential partners or rationalizing their own destructive patterns. True intelligence, when integrated with self-awareness, becomes an incredible asset. It allows for profound introspection, enabling individuals to identify their own triggers, understand their needs, and articulate their boundaries with clarity. It fosters empathy, allowing them to truly see and understand their partner's perspective, even when different. It promotes a growth mindset, viewing relationships not as static equations to be solved, but as dynamic, evolving journeys of mutual learning and adaptation. An intelligent person, aware of their own inner landscape, can then communicate authentically, navigate conflict constructively, and build connections based on genuine understanding and shared growth, rather than fear or idealized projections. This brings us to a new mirror, a more accurate reflection of how intelligence truly interacts with love. Genuine intelligence, encompassing both cognitive prowess and emotional sophistication, is not a handicap in the pursuit of meaningful relationships. It is, in fact, a profound asset. It enables deep self-reflection, allowing individuals to understand their own inner workings, their attachment patterns, their emotional triggers, their deepest desires with a level of insight that others might spend years in therapy to achieve. This self-knowledge is the foundation of secure attachment and authentic connection. An intelligent mind, trained in pattern recognition and critical thinking, can apply these skills to human behavior, discerning genuine compatibility from superficial attraction, understanding underlying motivations, and navigating complex social dynamics with grace and wisdom. It fosters a capacity for profound empathy, moving beyond surface-level interactions to truly grasp another person's perspective, their pain, their joys, their fears. This depth of understanding builds trust and intimacy. Furthermore, genuine intelligence is a powerful tool for problem-solving within a relationship. Conflicts, misunderstandings, and challenges are inevitable, but an intelligent individual approaches them not with emotional reactivity, but with a capacity for reasoned discussion, creative solutions, and a commitment to mutual growth. They learn from mistakes, adapt their strategies, and continually refine their approach to love, much as they would any complex intellectual pursuit. The path to love for truly intelligent individuals isn't about dumbing themselves down, lowering their standards out of desperation, or suppressing their analytical minds. On the contrary, it's about raising their emotional literacy, cultivating their capacity for vulnerability, and courageously integrating all aspects of their being, mind, and heart into their approach to connection. The struggle isn't a decree from your intellect, nor is it an unavoidable consequence of being thoughtful. It is instead a profound call to deepen your self-understanding, to integrate your emotional landscape with your cognitive power. It is a journey not of finding someone to perfectly match an idealized mental construct, but of becoming someone whose whole self, mind, heart, and spirit is fully ready for the exhilarating, messy, and deeply rewarding adventure of real connection.